Hi, I'm Kelly Stark, Stark Art Designs and Finishing, and today I'm going to be showing you how to we'll call it a quick and easy way to finish your piece of needlepoint or, uh, yeah, cross stitch, any kind of actually needlework. I guess you could do it with pretty much anything, little piece of fabric that you did something on. So here we go. So today what we're going to need is, oddly enough, no curved needle. We're going to be using the Fabri-Tac glue, the Beacon 3-in-1, depending on where you look for it. This comes from Hobby Lobby, and for whatever reason they always get the kind that never says Fabri-Tac on it. And we need some double face sticky tape, acid free. This is the kind we use to do the picture framing. You're going to need some seed beads. You can also do this with a piece of cording, which I will show you that option as well. And these are 11, I believe. Yeah, 11/0 seed beads. And I'm using kind of a white iridescent, and you'll see why in a few minutes. I'm also going to show you how to make a wire hook with the curls, just in case you can't find one like I haven't been able to recently because it is the day before Christmas. We're going to need some heavy cardstock or preferably poster board, something like that. And I am going to be potentially using the piece of felt. This is actually how I do my band ornaments. Some of them require, the toppers require sewing, as well as the center bands for the mermaid and things like that. But when I was coming up with this idea, I was like, this seems like a way that we could actually do something different and put them on a glass ball without it being specifically a band ornament where it wrapped all the way around. So it's kind of I like to usually call it something quick and dirty. Easy way to get it done. If you're opposed to gluing, then this option might not apply to you unless you cover your ornament with fabric. And the reason we are using, so this is I believe they call it a 4-inch round glass, but it's flat on one, flat-ish. I couldn't find any of the rectangle ones to try this on, and I didn't want to because this is a round ornament. So let's kind of clear out and get started. So the first thing that I want to do is I used a template to measure out how small I thought I would like it. And even though this template is not as small as the ornament, is actually stitched a little bigger. Jennifer, my friend, who helps me with all of these things and done some stitching for me. Thank you for letting me use your ornament to demonstrate this technique on. And it really isn't, I mean, when you look at this, you're like, oh, look at all the puckering here. It's totally different when it's needlepoint. Needlepoint conforms more. It's not as rigid as paper is, and that's why I'm not sure that I'm going to use the felt, but we still need the cardstock to do this next thing. So she stitched it to, I think this is a 3, I don't mark my templates. Yeah, this is a 3-inch, but this is 3 3/4 inch stitch. But that's okay because what I'm going to do, so we dart it like we normally would, And what I'm gonna do is I think this is actually an illustration paper. I do not know the weight of it, but it feels a little bit heavier than poster board. And what if you scroll back through my finishing pictures, you will see a giant round boxed pillow that I did. Now, is this going to be perfectly round? You know, I can see a little lump out here from where I turned as I was cutting it. That doesn't matter. You won't even see it. And what we're doing with this won't matter. So to get a perfectly round pillow, I made a circle that was the size that I needed on mat board, and I cut that out. And then when I went, I put it on, because this pillow was not round, because nothing is ever perfectly round, even if it is marked out perfectly round after it's stitched in a basket weave, because of the angle of the stitches. One side always looks a little fatter on right and the left, upper right, bottom left of a circle. And that's just because of that direction that we stitch. So now I'm going to do what we typically do on all of our ornaments, but this time because this is a little rigid, you can use a piece of mat board. I just use this heavy paper because I hate cutting mat board and I don't have a Cricut, so I am going to try to center this, making the assumption that it is actually centered when she stitched it. And we can kind of fudge it after if we need to. Okay, but I am kind of trying to see beforehand. It's a little, looks like it's a little heavier on the top than it is on the bottom, left and right, because you can't see it from the back side. And we're going to steam this down. And because there's a lot of stitching around this, that's going to have to be rolled under. I'm sure if she had known that I was going to do this, she just wouldn't have put as much stitching around it. And she said, Kelly, go for it. Don't worry about it. I trust you. She has a lot of faith in me, and oh goodness, I appreciate her trusting nature. But so I'm just kind of, and I can't even hold it up to the light because it's basket weave, so it's so thick that I can't see it through it. But so there, about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm gonna do it closer that way. I'm taking so long, my iron keeps falling asleep. Like, lady, you're not using me. I am done. All right, there. I think I need to come over a little more here. So what I am attempting to see is make sure my stitches, because I'm going to steam this down. And I am doing this, and I might have to come in and cut into her stitches. I know, right? I mean, I'm terrified right now myself. But I would typically just put my edges down all the way around, okay? Why am I cutting this in so much? Well, when you look at this, I still need room to be able to put my border on around it, either my cording, and if it starts getting too far out, you're going to have a hard time getting it to lay flat. But there's a trick to that too. So here we go, Jennifer. I'm going to steam this down. And I'm not actually, right now, I'm just putting the steam on it. You can see that I'm not actually pressing down those stitches. Okay, I'm just pulling it around this piece. And that's why it can't just be my paper, because I'm literally using this to bring this around. And by not pressing the stitches, if it doesn't look right on the front, like I've gone too far one way or the other, I can re-steam it and have a little safety there. Okay. So again, I'm going to steam this side. And if we just, sorry, come on, sorry about that. It's getting all steamy in here. Okay. By using something that is a heavier mat board or cardstock, the template that's underneath won't warp. But if we steam something too much that's too thin, it's gonna do like when you were a little kid and you did watercolors and the paper rippled. It's because it got too wet. Same with this. Alright, now I'm gonna turn this over and just take a look. Meh. It could go one set that way, I think. See, if I measure down here, not so much, but you know, I want it to be as perfect as I can, but I also accept that perfection can be highly overrated. But we do the best that we can with any given opportunity. That is why we take our time with this, and we have this option to make sure it's the way we want. Now, you might be saying, well, why aren't you just putting it right? Glue it down like we do the... No. We can't with this because we need it to arch over that glass. Okay, so we're just going to kind of... Ooh, look at that. I think that looks pretty good. Yeah. It's relatively centered. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Now, this is the exact reason why when we do ornaments, it is so difficult I'm just letting that cool for a second and let that steaminess subside. It's very interesting how, because of the sizing that's in this and the looseness, the size of the weave of our needlepoint canvas does allow us to pull it in and neck it in, and I didn't even have to cut into her stitching. Right? Right. So, here we go. Now, because this is on this board is here. We're going to take it one more step because of what we're doing and the thickness of her stitches that are on here that we're rolling under. Okay, we're going to take that out. I know, I just undid. Like every time, all I do is undo what I just did. So we're going to we're going to see how it is on the glass, but we're going to actually utilize the glass right now to get our arch. And you'll see this in my videos. Now I am pressing right down on it, giving it a little weight, not a lot. And now before it cools, I'm going to lay it on here and you kind of pull over the arch. Okay, and it will take the shape of the arch, and you're going to see this when you watch the videos of my band and topper ornaments. I do the same thing. I take a styrofoam ball and I put the band, once it's had all its little waste canvas steamed over, and I put it on a styrofoam ball and I steam it and I press it because it will conform. And one of the things that I wanted to double check with this as I was doing this is, number one, I mean, this now has the arch we need, okay? There's not any one spot that is really sticking up so much that it's like, see, I mean, look at that. Can you see how it cups like that? Isn't that wonderful? Whereas with this, there was no way, well, actually, if we really wanted to, I could steam this paper and mash it down, but you'd be able to see the darts, the wrinkles in it, whereas you can't see it with something like this. Okay, so this is it. Are you ready? I mean, this is a really hard process. Hold on, people. This is really gonna blow your mind on how difficult it is. So the next step, because I don't want to fill this, I think that if it was just stitched right to the edge that we wanted, okay, just to the edge of the waste canvas, which is going to be really hard with needlepoint because of what I just discussed with the stitches going in certain directions, right? So I could put a little puff under here if I wanted to, but I'm good with it like this, okay? And then what I'm going to do next, what's the tape for? So the acid-free tape is just so we can, now there's little zzz, zzz that you used when you did the scrapbooking. There's little tape dispensers that you can get. And all I'm going to do, make sure I don't do it too big, okay, is I'm putting this on here so that I can adjust it and not have it constantly sliding off. Okay, so just, it's easier when you don't have the kind of tape that is for framing. I don't have, you know, this is what I have. I wasn't a big scrapbooker, but it definitely, those little dispensers are amazing and give it and done. Okay, so we're going to put our felt to the side because we don't need that. Okay. Like, oh dear. It's always something crazy with me, right? There we go. Because heaven forbid I do it the easy way. So now what I'm going to do is I'm not going to really press on it, but see how it sits there now, whereas before it was sliding off. All right, so I am visually going to have to line this up, and I am going to I think this is the most difficult thing I find with these glass balls is that I'm going to lightly touch on that, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it up in front of me and see, did I just put that on the wrong side? I did, didn't I? I'm going to see how it hangs. I flippity gibbet did. Okay, let's see what happens if I turn this. So with these glass ornaments, the tops of them, I feel like I want to bring it up a little. The tops of them are never flat. And so then with the wire hanger and the cap, it can shift. So even if it looks perfectly straight, when you have it holding in you're holding it in your hand, then you hang it, and the next thing you know, it's askew. All right, you know what? Can't do it. I have to turn it onto the correct side of the, oof, there goes my nail polish. And it just rolls right off. And if there's a little residue left, don't worry about it. Sorry, I'm making my camera jumpy. Little Goo Gone takes off everything, right? Gotta love that stuff. And actually, sometimes rolling this on it. Yeah. I'm trying to take a spot off that isn't even an adhesive spot. It's the snow that I put on the inside. Okay. I know, it's always something with me that I gotta delay, and I'm not gonna take this out of the video because they call this failing up. We learn from what we're doing, and Kelly learns from making these mistakes while doing the video. Right? Right. Because that's just how I am. Okay, guys, you're just going to have to ignore that on the back for now. Even though it's going to annoy the heck out of me the whole time. Okay, get all these little gluey schniblets off. Now you get to endure me putting the tape on again. Okay. Now, let's make sure. I don't want to take any chances that that is the right side. Yes. And I don't know, can you see how it's sitting like that? How it angles back? So I want this to be my face. So there have been times where I'm looking at one of these bands, especially the Hanukkah band that is on the onion ornament, and I have to like let them spin in front of me and tap it down. There's not much I can do with, and I'm not going to do the other X on there because I don't need to. I just need enough to get it up in front of me. And I'm putting it on and I'm trying to make it level and I'm kind of tapping it, and as it's spinning in front of me, I look like I'm crazy sitting there watching a spinning ornament. Well, shush, I know you guys think I'm crazy anyway, but all right. I'm going to put it a little higher than lower. All right, let me see. When it hangs, let me see if we can. I think it looks pretty straight. Straight as we're gonna kind of get it for now. Now, next. Okay, this is the Fabri-Tac glue. I try to get the giant size and then buy the 4-ounce bottle size because I like the tip better. It's a little more precision than the giant bottle. And then I just keep refilling it. And right underneath, I'm going to kind of smear because I don't want a huge thick amount. This is where that, and don't worry about, getting it out on the glass right there, because number one, we can use a little Goo Gone to remove it, but also until it's dry, you can kind of like dry, like cured 24 hours, you can still get it off. But I don't want such a thick bead of glue underneath that. And you can put it right on the glass. I don't know if you can see me doing that. See that bead going on? And kind of smear it so it has a little extra surface area that it's hitting. But this isn't the most important part because we are going to be gluing our beads on. If you're putting cording on, I want you to do like we do when we're going to put a hanger there. Okay, so now we're just going to put some pressure on it. All right, and these are what I use for my band ornaments. Ooh, that one's a little loose for this one. Okay. I think actually this is going to be a good one. Big, fat, thick one. Okay. All right. Now, why am I putting so many on? Well, I want to make sure that all of those edges are relatively have a little bit of pressure to put it onto the glass. Doesn't really have to be a lot, but I want it to look even also. I'll pull you down. I need to get some that are specifically for this size. Now this is something obviously you can easily do yourself. And personally, I think this is going to be really cute. Looked straight when I hung it. Let's double check. Yeah, the writing still looks pretty straight. Yeah. Okay. This iridescent snow is just came in a bag at Hobby Lobby. Okay, and I do have some of the lettering from scrapbooking that you could put 2022 across the back as well. Just little stickers, or you can cut them out of the adhesive vinyl if you have a Cricut. So for right now, while this is kind of drying, I am going to figure out what I'm going to make a few bow tufts because I want this to have just a minute. It really doesn't take that long for the glue to set. The reason I filled this, now you can fill it with paint, set it upside down, let it all drain out. You can use metallics in there. You can do swirly things. You can find all kinds of stuff on the internet to fill these. I didn't find any of these that were glass, that were a solid color, but it doesn't mean that they're not out there. But in the craft stores, that's what I could find. And the white ones that they had were plastic, and I didn't like those. So, like I said, if you were going to do cording, I would leave a space at the bottom so that when you marry it, you can, you're not looking at it from the top. And it's so funny because I'm looking at it going, man, that is really off center. That doesn't look right. But at the same time, when I am hanging it in front of me, it is. I probably could have shifted a little to the left, but by the time we get our stuff on, let's see, you really aren't going to be able to notice it. Okay, so I would leave it at the bottom, and it's just a matter of you're going to take your cording, and the next step, you're going to put it in there, you're going to glue it all, you're going to put a bead of glue all the way around, lay it on, hold it there, because you got to keep pressure, especially if you use fuzzy, to hold it on. All right, we're going to set that there. I'm going to do a few bow tucks and things while this dries for a second. And I don't know that I wanted, because this isn't as big as the round balls, we're going to kind of have to play with this and test it out. Okay, because this is the one that I used on another one recently, and I got this at Hobby Lobby, and I just don't know that that's gonna be too big. So maybe we just do a flat bow here instead of trying to do like the ball, the all-encompassing like what I did. All right, so we're gonna do this ribbon, and the reason we're using this ribbon, oh, the more I look at it, I'm like, oh, this is a little, but it's not. It is, this is where they, even though some of these are pressed, or blown into a form, they're just, they're never as they visually appear. Okay, they have, it's deceptive. But you know, it's somebody else's piece, and I don't want it to be all wonky, and so we cut a piece of fishing line that's long enough to handle. okay, and really, get our fingers around. And I better not. I was going to put some lotion on my hands, but if I do, it'll get weird. So, little tail, okay, this is where I'm going to be pinching, is where my fingers are. And I think it's about 1.5 inches this way, right? This has wire in it. I love wire ribbon versus the other because next year when it comes out of the box, if you don't put cotton balls or tissue balls in the bow, then it could look a little wonky, and it's easier to steam it and give it shape again by using the wire edge. So you're going to attempt, so you have pinch it in, right? Oh, the other thing is any kind of organdy ribbon, organza, I guess, whatever, is much easier because it's easier to pinch. And this material is going to compress very easily, whereas something that is more of a solid ribbon can be a little more cumbersome. Okay, so here we go. And we kind of visually look and try to get our loops about the same width. I'm gonna turn, okay, so I'm used to working with one-sided ribbon where you literally have to, so the glitter is on this side, you can see it through this side, but it's not on top here. So when you, okay, so I put it, bring it around and pinch, right? Here's my top side of the ribbon. So now it's on the underside going to the back. So I can pinch it behind this piece of ribbon, okay? That front piece, right? So now I can't just pull it over like this and have the back side of the ribbon be facing up. I want to bring it around my thumb, and I'm pinching it back behind, okay? And this is the back side of the ribbon here, because you can't feel the glue on the top from the little glittery bits. And now I'm going to put another loop, but this time I'm not shoving it back behind this group of ribbon in my fingers. I'm like basically setting it on top of it and pinching it down towards it, okay? So it sits right in there. All right, now I'm bringing it around, okay? And this time I'm shoving it back behind that group that I just made so that it goes to the back side of it, okay? See, that's the top from here, popped up. Now we pinch it down. I'm going to pull this tail down behind, okay? And I've seen all the crazy bow making where they hold their fingers like this and they loop, 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 and then they do it. Do it however works for you, okay? There's so many how-tos on how to do it. Go for however works for you. Traditionally, in where I learned was the floral design industry, you use a piece of wire to go through and then you twist it. But I don't want to see wire on these. But if you had to, you could put the wire and then just take another piece of ribbon and put it over, slide it through and lay it over the top to hide that wire. Okay, so We have two tiny tails. All right, I'm going to take this annoying fishing line. Right. Keep sliding under my thumbnail. We push it through. I know, I look like a mime when I'm working with this stuff. Like I'm just baking it. Okay, you can see how it's pinching it down in. This is your time to see if you're centered, and I'm not. And you know how I'm not? Because this side is way puffier than this side. So I just lift up. I'm picking it up and just shifting it over a little. And it's really not much. Okay. I adjusted it there because it still was not, the bottom was fine, but the top just was never centered when I actually made the bow. And looks like this one is a little big, so we adjust now, and that looks okay. So I'm pulling it tight, and I grab, I'm trying to be so careful so it doesn't look like so much of a jumble, and I'm pulling it through, holding it in my teeth, bringing it back through. Because I want to keep squeezing with this hand so that it makes sure it compresses it really tight. Leave the long bits for tying on the ornament. Okay. All right. So now we're going to take this off. It should be holding it well enough that we can do the second part. The fun part. Beads. I love the bead part. Okay. Oh, no, I don't want to put the glue nub on yet. Not going anywhere. Okay. Again, this is where I start seeing the flaws and going, but it needs to go. It's fine. It's fine, Kelly. Let it go. So pull our bowl forward. Right. I'm going to open my beads and pray I don't knock them over because it wouldn't be the first time. And we are going to start with getting the glue to come to the end. And of course it's clogged because I left it with the cap off. And yes, I just basically glued a pin into my pin cushion. Yeah, I do that all the time. It's like, why won't this come out? Oh, I see. All right. So we want to put a nice even bead on our ornament. I'm stopping and pulling, okay? And the reason we want a nice even bead is because now we're going to just pour it on. Okay? I'm using my low dish and they're bouncing everywhere. Usually I use this big old tub. Okay. Now, I made my bead of glue a tiny bit large. So it's going to be a little fatter than I normally do. But you know what? I don't care. Okay, hold on. And you don't want to tamp it down with your finger. I'm going to move this back a little bit to try to build up that. I'm going to tamp that down a little. If you smash it with your finger, it'll flatten that edge and it doesn't look like this nice bulbous round of beads. And I'm going to take our piece of felt and try to get these from being so bouncy because I'm shooting all over my table. Okay. Yeah, that's good. So what happens over time as this dries is the glue shrinks down a little bit, so it won't look as big as it does right now. But if you want it bigger, you can come back in and put some more glue in over an area, and basically you're gluing over beads and building it up again. All right, so I gotta make sure to do just as much as I did the first time, right? Because I don't want it to look uneven as I'm going around. Like all of a sudden, you know, if you're decorating a cake, you don't want one side of the decorations to look really thickly piped on. Same concept, okay? And the reason I filled this, if I forgot to say it earlier, why I filled the interior is because if you don't, you can see your stitching on the inside because it's clear. And, well, you might want that, but I don't want that. We hide our mechanics, right? Hide them. It is kind of how we are in the floral industry. I was taught it's the #1 rule. Hide your mechanics. They don't need to know how it's built. It just needs to look beautiful. Get that beautiful in there. Okay. Add some that we're stringing there. I see some others that are, I don't know if I want to stick, but there's enough here. I think I want to. I got a bead stuck under my nail now. All right. Looks relatively even. I see a few spots there. So, like I said before, you can always, if you find a wimpy spot, come back in, add a little glue. And what do you want to bet that that spot that I was just kind of picking at is the spot where I left off the glue from the first, you know, from that other. Now, the way that you leave this to dry could cause it to sag off that way. So, all right, take that, kind of pull it, try to get it to hit the glue. It's a little easier when you have it in the tube to pour out, but put that back in. And you can definitely see it a little better when I have it in the tube. Okay. Yeah, everybody looks pretty good. Pretty even. And that's already solidifying there. Tiny bit thinner on this side. So, if you want to make sure your glue doesn't go down like this, pulled down, you can set it forward like this so that gravity pulls those beads towards the front, right? Okay. So, next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take our little bow. Right, I'm gonna cut my string off and I'm gonna put it right up there. So I'm gonna make a loop. I always try to turn it over carefully because typically I would let the beads dry before putting on the bow, but you know, videos. Gotta work in the now. Right? Kind of squish that down so it can get this. And without pulling it so tight that it bends our wire there. So now that's 2 there. I'll do another one there. Okay, another knot. All right. Boop. I'm going to pull this forward, make sure everybody's staying where we asked them to stay. Why is my bow being all hibbity jibbity? There. Okay. Oh, he's loose now. It's okay. I'll fix him. Boop. Off he comes. It's because when I cut the knot, I cut it too close. Okay. Longer. And if I can't get it to work, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add like 3 more of the exact same bows and make it look like a little top knot on there. Okay? Like that. And do it again. The issue with it is that I'm wrapping it around this width. When I do the top knots, I knot it onto one side and the other side. Go figure. All right, I'm going to let this dry for a second and stop handling it. I got a bead stuck to my nail. Okay. Crazy. Okay, I think what I'm going to do with the bow is give it a minute, and I am going to make a wire hanger. Okay? Because I don't have one. Nope, I don't. And they did not have them at any of the craft stores because it is the day before Christmas. All right. So we have a few items here that we're going to be using. This I actually use for my X-Acto knife so that I don't stab myself when I take it places or when I put it into so it doesn't break the tip. I know you're going, yeah, Kelly, okay. We know it's for your wine that you keep in your studio. But it's not. So we are going to start. I think that this is 10 gauge wire, but I'm not sure. It's super thick. Okay. And I mean, I have some over there that are all these, they've got like a little peppermint candy on them and that kind of a thing. And, oh, hold on, baby, hold on. Okay, so I actually do like this one better because it is silver. Okay. But in the meantime, I am going to show you how to make this. But I'm going to take this, because I need to hang it to make sure. Because see, this is more of a hot pink thread that she used. Okay, so I'm not sure it still hangs right. Oh, it does. Right? There. Okay. So we know that it hangs correctly. But I need to get this bow on correctly. All right, where's my masking tape? All right, now this is why I keep my masking tape around. It's because it keeps it from wobbling and it lifts it up a little bit. All right. And you know what I'm gonna do? Okay, that is what I'm gonna do. Alright, I'm gonna make my loop, and with the one bow, instead of putting it up higher, I'm gonna put it down on the neck. So I have looped it. I'm gonna set the bow there. And now I have something I can tie it very tight too, i.e. the neck of this ornament. Okay. Hope I'm not knocking a bunch of my beads off. Hopefully they have had enough time to set up, which I think they have, definitely. Alright, I'm gonna bring this back around and tie it again. Trying not to hit my beads too much. And let the little sharp pointy bits of the fishing line, when I cut it, be hidden under the bow, like thus. Now, you might not agree with the whole bow, no bow. I think this jazzes it up a little bit. Okay, yes, like that. Now, hanger. This is how I made one the other day. Okay, so you want to give yourself extra wire and use something hard to bend it. No, the long piece of wire on the other side was stopping it. Give yourself something hard. Sound like I'm playing a cymbal or something. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, so give yourself something round, hard to go around. That makes the circle shape, right? Now, I kind of bunched it up in the beginning. There's kind of a crimp there. All right. And going to, actually, I'm trying to remember how I did this the other day. Did I start with the crimp at the end? Can't remember. Make that gentle arch towards the top, and I'm going to use my Sharpie end. I think I want to do it there. This is another way you can also shorten ones that you have that may be longer than you want. Okay. And that's how you keep your circles looking like circles. I believe there is a cutter that gives you a rounded point. You're going to see this is going to come off flat looking and maybe a little sharp. I don't have my one nippers here. Sorry. Wow. These are really dull. So I will hit this with a piece of sandpaper to blunt that down. Okay. I can also come in with another pair and nip it off flatter, sort of. And you can also nub it down like that, just by pinching the ends to make sure there's nothing sharp there. Okay, now this has kind of got a twist to the right, so just can lay it there like that and press it. Lay it flat there and start pressing it past to get it flat, because you got to be able to go past the horizontal to get it to lay flat. Okay, so now that's not so wing. All right, now I think I want to take, I gotta set this on here. They have wire jigs to do this on, just so you know. But come on, baby. I would do this with a slightly smaller gauge, so that it's easier, because I'm making it look like so much more difficult than it needs to be. I mean, way too much. Okay. Now, I'm going to grab and cut this off. About there. Grab this. Yeah, it's so heavy I have to wang this in. I'm going to start to make, now you can see these are rounded, they're jewelry pliers. Okay. I'm just kind of visually right, trying to keep it round, but not doing it perfectly. That's where these things are really important, to be able to use these. I'm making this so much more awkward than it should have been. But it's always different when it's on camera, because not holding it quite the same as I was. So now I've over twisted that. Just pull it back out a little bit until it looks visually correct. So I'm just pushing that out and in, right? That's not horrible. Okay. Let's just smooth. Got that part. I need a skinnier piece. Okay, see the flat? I don't like the flat. Again, we're taking this. For those of you that do jewelry making, please do not comment on me just gouging the heck out of my wire. I can sand that out. I'll buff it right out. Okay. Again, not as smooth as I could have done maybe with a wire jig, but it would work in a pinch. Okay, so that is the obviously looking so difficult way, but it's really not. Just get a thinner gauge. I didn't use a long enough piece wire to be able to manipulate it, but sometimes it takes what it takes. I like this one because I know it's not going to bend and be weird. But now that I have this one, I'm going to take that. Well, I was going to be oofy and put a little doggy patty paw on there, but maybe later because I think it might take 2 coats of priming this because it is Fimo and then paint over it. So for right now, let's be done. Okay, and that's what it'll look like hanging on the tree. And it really is a lot easier. I mean, it was kind of done and done. All right. It's kind of a quick and dirty way. Now it's hanging a little forward now, and I think that's because of my hanger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hanger and I'm going to curl it. Let me see. See how visually it is not, it's leaning way back because that they put that bracket in. So the way to do that, way to fix it, is we're going to make this circle. I'm trying to show you what I'm doing and I'm not able to do it. Come back forward so that the hanging point is even with the central. And I don't care that I'm about to make this look wonky. Let me see. Let's curl that back just a skosh. Right, right. I gotta bend you back up. There. Now it's going to be there. This is the only way I can think of to. Okay. Like that. I'm going to come in, even though these suck, because I don't have my other ones. I gotta take some of that wire off. There. All right. Yeah, that's better. It hangs directly under there. All right, let's see how that goes. And you're probably going, Kelly, I see no difference. But that's okay. All right, there we are. All right. All right, if you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. And I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday. And try it. Try it. It's easy. So easy. All right, happy finishing.